This podcast is brought to you by lilybadcock.com and the Confidence Academy, giving you the confidence to be who you truly are. This is the Confidence Academy podcast. My name is Lily Badcock and I am a transformational confidence coach, and I'm here with a message for you. The anxiety and overwhelm you've been experiencing is not something to be feared or avoided. It's also not something that gets to define who you are as a person. No matter who you are, no matter what your story is, I know that you get to live a life of fulfillment and joy. It's my absolute pleasure to bring this podcast series to you in collaboration with some phenomenal people from all over the world who have walked the same path as you. Together, we will share our stories, our challenges, and our triumphs, with the intention of helping you to see that it's possible for you too. Anxiety may be something you live with, but it doesn't get to define who you are or how you live your life. So stand by for some powerful conversations, deep realizations, and the occasional F-bomb. So get those headphones in if you're around sensitive ears, and stand by. This is going to be fun. What's up, party podcast people? That is my new name for you, by the way. How are you all doing? I've had an absolutely epic week over here, and in fact, it's been so epic that I'm going to record a bonus episode for you all to share exactly what's been going on. That's going to be coming out at the same time as this episode, so make sure you check it out and let me know what you think. For now, I'll just say this. If you're into law of attraction or manifestation, and in particular, if you loved my episode last week with Amanda Francis, then you're not going to want to miss it. But for now, on to this week's episode, and I was so honoured to sit down and chat with the wonderful Daniela Hunter. Now, Daniela is a healing jewellery designer from the south of France, and we chatted all about her powerful work with crystals and how throughout her life she's just been constantly guided back to her purpose. Now, Daniela was kind enough to offer all of you a special discount code. So once you've listened to the episode, I do encourage you to check out the links in the show notes. Go and have a look at Daniela's beautiful website and treat yourself to one of the stunning pieces of jewellery on offer. As ever, I would love to hear from you, so please do get in touch to let me know what you thought of this episode. Now, I've navigated the Facebook community from the old group, Wake Up, Rise Up, into the new group, which is called Singing for Spiritual Growth. And that was following the epic energy that we had in that group in the challenge last week. So you'll know if you've listened to any previous episodes that Singing for Spiritual Growth is my new offer. It's my new free challenge. And I just decided to move the community over there. So I've put a link in the show notes below, so do come and say hi and give the challenge a go if you fancy it. It was so much fun. The banter was off the scale, and it was so transformational for the people that came through the challenge. So come and join us. But for now, sit back and enjoy this amazing conversation with Daniela Hunter. Hi everybody, welcome back to the show. You're listening to Lily, and today I am joined by the beautiful Daniela Hunter, who is in France. This is exciting, Daniela, because I don't normally have people from France. I think I might have had one person before that's come from that place. So big welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And like I said, I used to live in London, so I always feel like there's a part of me, and I feel like London's a bit of my home as well.
100%. Yeah, of course. And it's just such an honor to have you on here. And this is another podcast first. We seem to be on a bit of a roll at the moment, but you are the first healing jewelry designer that we've ever had on the show. So let's kick off by letting people know, what is a healing jewelry designer? So tell the people who you are and what you do.
Okay. So the jewelry that I create, I'm also a crystal healer, and I'm really into holistic health, and especially traditional Chinese medicine. So there's actually there's a side of traditional Chinese medicine that actually works with crystals, which is really interesting. And it's for a fact, like, the first acupuncture needles were made out of tourmaline, and the reason for tourmaline is because they are piezoelectric, which means that they conduct energy. And our body is also made out of electricity, and the electricity they can move from our meridians, our nervous system. So in traditional Chinese medicine, all of these gemstones, they influence the qi, and that's the life force, prana, known in many traditions around the world. So I like to work with crystal healing in this kind of system, because there's a lot of actually jewelers out there now at the moment that they also work with crystal healing. But I think I'm actually the first doing it in the traditional Chinese medicine way.
Amazing. So I really love that concept. It's a concept of, first of all, you get to buy a beautiful piece of jewelry, which who doesn't want that? But actually it's a really holistic way to combat some of the things that you might be going through. So things like anxiety, stress, and I think the thing I love about that is there's a lot of things we can do when we're stressed or when we're anxious or anything like that. There's a whole barrage of advice that you find when you're looking, and I know because I've been there. And so a lot of the time it requires the person, though, to show up and do something. Like you have to get into a habit of tapping, maybe if you're going to do EFT, or you have to get into the habit of journaling if that's going to work for you, or meditation, even though that is sitting and being present, you still have to do that thing, right? And whilst all of those things are powerful, and I've done them all, and I'm especially an enormous fan of journaling for sure, I know that when you're in the throes of anxiety, in the throes of stress, anything can feel like too much. It's just one more thing to be worried about, right? And I know the way my mind works, when I'm in that sort of struggling space, I will instantly think, oh, I should meditate, or, oh, I should journal. And then I get overwhelmed at the idea of it. And then I start to tell myself, see, this is why you're anxious, because you can't even do that. And then it just becomes like an opportunity to just bash myself. So the fact that you could just wear a piece of jewelry and know that it's aligned. And so, if somebody is buying a piece of your jewelry, is there like a consultation process? Do you offer that where someone can find it, or do you just trust that they're led to the right pieces when they get onto your website?
That's actually something that I'm going to start offering as of January. I'm going to start offering consultations, because I automatically do it through email and even private messages on Instagram. Yeah. I end up doing mini consultations. So it's something that I know there's a need for that. And I'm going to start offering that as of January, after all the crazy Christmas period.
And the crazy Christmas period. Yeah, my Lord.
Yes, yeah. Yes. And I totally resonate with you as well, Lily, because I've always been a person who suffered from anxiety myself. Yeah. And I agree, I journal, I do EFT, crystals are a big part of my journey as well with anxiety. And also that's how I discovered meditation. And it's because I had that need to heal myself. So I think this is why I found myself doing what I do nowadays.
Yeah. And this is what I love. And it was funny because I just was thinking in my head, I'm definitely going to ask you about how you came to do this, because this is clearly purpose work, right? You've clearly been led to do this amazing healing work. And obviously you've read my mind, or somehow your soul has heard my soul. This could have been a silent podcast and we could have just got everything we need if we just sat here. But for the purposes of the people listening, we will keep speaking verbally as well. But you've gone directly where I wanted to go next, which was how you were led to do this work. And again, this is going to underline to everybody listening that the greatest things, the best gifts, can come from struggle, right? And we're so afraid to struggle. We're so afraid to be in that place of misalignment or of sadness or stress or whatever. We're so afraid to go there because we're so afraid of what it means for us. And when we can stop taking it personally and realize that sometimes it's the direct path to purpose, it's not that it's not going to be hard, but I think if you can feel like there's some purpose to that difficulty, it gets you another step further, right? It stops you from getting to a point where you think, I can't do this anymore. And instead, you start asking, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? You can start saying, why is this happening for me? It's a really empowering shift of a question. So you mentioned already that anxiety has been something that you've struggled with. So how did you find your way to crystal healing? Because it just fascinates me how we all are bumbling through life and we all end up finding our thing, and it's a little different for all of us. You know, for me, obviously my thing is singing, and I've dabbled in crystals, but I don't know a lot about them. So I'm so excited to learn from you on this podcast today. And I know that anybody listening that has maybe been intrigued by crystals is going to be feeling the same way. So take us back. How did you first get into crystal healing, and what did that journey look like for you?
First of all, I grew up in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro. So it's really abundant in gemstones in Brazil. We have pretty much all the crystals are in Brazil. And so I used to collect them as a child. And I used to notice as a child that, like, for example, my mom's American, my dad's Brazilian. And every time we would travel overseas, there would be these really long travels that would be sometimes like 20 hours. And I used to find that, like, I used to collect gemstones and I used to hold them in my pocket, and I would just be holding them if I would get nervous traveling already as a child. So I used to like holding gemstones every time I felt nervous. I would have them with me also for exams, for any kind of situation that I felt that I needed something kind of to comfort me. I would have like a little gemstone in my pocket. And it just started really as a child, which is really funny. And and then I I went during the summers in Brazil. I used to do a lot of beadwork with my sister. It was all actually plastic, but sometimes we would get a few little crystals there. So I already had this passion also for making jewelry. And I studied art. I studied filmmaking as well. And I ended up in London studying nutritional therapy at the University of Westminster. And I started really struggling with anxiety at this point, to the point that I would get eczema on my skin. I used to get panic attacks sometimes. And it was at this point that I was searching for different kinds of ways to cope with this. Meditation was a big thing. I would go to all of the different Buddhist centers in London to do the classes. I discovered Kriya Yoga from Paramahansa Yogananda, and that was through a really amazing teacher. He's actually in Tooting-Bec, Stephen Sturgis. He has really great meditation group that is free, that he leads in his house. And crystals were still always a part of my journey. I used to go to Mind, Body, Spirit and always go to the crystal stall, and I used to always collect crystals. It's just a part of who I was in my life. So at this point, when I was in London studying and I was feeling very anxious, I ended up doing a ceremony. It was a Shipibo Kanibo plant medicine ceremony. And I realized that even though I enjoyed nutrition, it wasn't my path. And that's what was bringing me this anxiety, because I was not feeling any more joy. I was not feeling any more. It just felt like something I had to do. And I don't know why I felt like I had to do it, maybe to impress my family, that, they really wanted me to do something more traditional instead of filmmaking and art. And that's when I realized that I was in the wrong path, and that I had to do something that brought me joy. And it was really art, and jewelry became my medium. And through the journey of making jewelry, I decided to do my certification in crystal healing. And I really enjoyed the course, but I realized that it wasn't just exactly crystal healing, because a lot of the crystal healing courses that we have out there, they are based on channeling, on somebody who channeled. And I believe we all have this ability to channel. But I wanted something that could also have a little bit of like science. And that's how I discovered, it's actually called stone medicine, this part of traditional Chinese medicine that uses stones and gemstones to heal, in the same kind of way as acupuncture. And I fell in love with this, and this is kind of what became the whole structure of my business with Healing Jewelry.
I love that. And the thing I love the most is that you've really highlighted that your anxiety was stemming from not doing the right thing. And then you realized that you weren't tapping into your joy anymore. And I think so many of us are in the same boat. You know, we've grown up trying to impress family members or trying to keep up with friends or whatever it is. And that's sometimes what can take you off your path. It's when you stop listening to what you want, and when you stop, you know, being guided from within, and instead you start being guided from everything outside of you, then it doesn't have that connection anymore. And that's how it feels. Like, that's what it shows up like. You know, when I had that epiphany 2 years ago and I got told you're here for those people waking up, and I literally asked the question, so what's with the anxiety then? And they were like, well, duh, that's how people feel when they're waking up, because they're just realizing, oh shit, I'm not supposed to do this. Like, you know, I even had this recently. I was stood in my kitchen and I was trying to think of something to make for dinner. And I've never been a huge fan of eating meat. I've always been a fussy eater. I've never liked red meat. It was always too chewy, and, you know, but I would eat chicken or whatever. And I just caught myself in the kitchen. I was making dinner and I had all these vegetables that I was excited to make. And then I actually caught myself saying, oh, I should put some meat with that. Like, I should put some meat with that. And then I caught myself and was like, why? Why do you have to put meat with it? If you don't want the meat, don't eat the meat. Like, and I realized it was just, I was brought up that way. I was always told you must eat your meat. You must eat everything on your plate. And obviously that came from a place of love. It came from a place of my parents wanting me to have a balanced diet or whatever. But, you know, I was like, I'm a grown ass woman now. I'm 42. If I don't want to eat meat, I don't have to. And it was such a revelation. But I think so many people are living a life based on what other people want them to do. But I'd go further than that and say, actually, I bet if they ask those people, they don't really give a shit. Like, your loved ones just want you to be happy. Like, there's nothing written anywhere that says, oh, you have to do this or you have to do that. But we tell ourselves, oh, I'm going to be a disappointment if I don't do that thing in college, or I'm going to be a disappointment if I don't get to that point in my career or whatever. I think the more people start really asking themselves what they want, then that's where the healing begins. And of course, you were led back to something you already knew. Like, this is another point I love that you've underlined. You did it as a child. You just naturally held crystals to feel better, right? And so the question I wanted to ask relative to crystals is, of course, if somebody is being led to do that, there's going to be healing properties there. But what about people who maybe haven't been led there naturally? Like, maybe they didn't do it as a child, and maybe they don't even know if it can work. Is it a case of crystals will just heal you no matter what? Like, you don't have to believe in it. It's a bit like purpose, right? It doesn't matter if you believe you have one or not, you still have one. Right? So is that the case with crystals? Is it a case that, because you know, there might be somebody listening who's thinking, oh, it's a nice idea, but I don't really know if that could work for me. What would be their experience if somebody really didn't know? Do crystals still have the power to work? I mean, I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Yes, I think so. I think if what happens usually that's quite interesting is that I think we all have like a really strong intuition within us. So we're already kind of attracted to the crystal that has the properties for healing whatever we're needing to heal at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually like if a person they feel attracted for some reason towards amethyst, maybe they're looking for more serenity, harmony, and also some just kind of bringing that into their lives, because maybe they're feeling like they're in a fast pace or not slowing down. And usually it's really interesting, but usually when I do a lot of like shows, sometimes usually it's quite precise. The person is drawn to a gemstone and they ask me what is the properties of it. They're like, oh, okay, I kind of need that at that moment. And then they have an aha moment. And Another thing that's quite interesting about crystals is that there is some research also with crystals. Like, for example, amethyst, it's really good at absorbing electromagnetic waves. It absorbs gamma waves. So that's why people like to put it like next to computers. And they say that amethyst is actually protective because it does kind of protect us from these harmful waves. And so all of that purple color of the amethyst is the gamma waves. And then when you put it in the sun, it actually fades.
Wow.
Yeah, where all of our electronics are powered by crystals as well, because crystals, they are piezoelectric, which means that they're energy conducting. So there are some crystals that are a bit more than others, like tourmaline is one that's highly piezoelectric. There is also, there is one more thing I wanted to say about crystals. It's kind of like, so yeah, so there's some interesting things that are quite also scientific about crystals. It's not just how you feel, or there's some, I remember what I was going to say right now. Crystals also, like, they also emit infrared radiation, which is all of those really fancy saunas of infrared saunas that people like to pay a lot of money to go to for detoxification. Well, crystals, when heated, they do that naturally as well.
Wow.
So
wow.
especially, like, again, tourmaline is like one of my favorites because it's piezoelectric. It's got a lot of infrared. It emits a lot of infrared radiation when heated. So it's one of my favorite ones. Like, I always talk about it on Instagram. I post a lot about tourmaline for that reason.
That's brilliant. And you know, again, something that's come up, that's been coming up a lot on this show recently, is that correlation between the spiritual side and the scientific side. And it really feels like that barrier between the two is being broken down more and more. There's a crossover now. And I think there are so many like sciencey people who are being drawn to more energy work, and probably vice versa as well. You know, it's not so much of a us and them anymore. And I just think the purpose of that is there's a whole new wave of people now that are getting to be woken up, that are getting to have this connection to a spiritual side and to their own purpose. And the fact is, those people were never going to resonate when it was all very hippie and woo-woo. But now that there's actual scientific evidence, like, there's a whole new wave of people that are going, okay, I'm here for that. I love that. And, you know, I'm super spiritual and I'm really woo-woo as well. But there is a part of me that loves that science aspect. Like, I love listening to, who is it I love listening to? Dr. Joe Dispenza, because he will talk about, he'll talk about quantum physics and just absolutely mind-blowing stuff. But he's a doctor as well. And so he's got this very calm and certain, like, energy about him, where you're like, I believe what you're telling me, because I don't know, maybe just because he's got the word doctor in front of his name, who knows? I am very simple, but I just think that's what I love. And I think, you know, there are lots and lots of people, and even people I know personally, who previously, you know, got told about The Secret and we're just like, well, that's a load of rubbish, like, I can't even watch that, it's so out there. But now they're starting to get interested in this stuff because there are real tangible things that they can grasp onto. So I love that you actually make jewelry out of this stuff as well, because the other thing about crystals is, I know that I've been gifted crystals before, and when you're not into that thing, you kind of then just have this pile of stones and you're like, I don't really know what to do with these. like how does this work? Whereas with a piece of jewelry, it's very personal. It's something you can wear. And I just think the idea that you can wear something that's gorgeous so you feel good about yourself, I mean, in and of itself, that's powerful. But then to know that it's working with the natural energy lines in your body and that it actually has the power to help you feel better, I think that's incredible. And the other thing I wanted to say was, it's this feeling of, how did I want to put this? It's, again, well, it's like I said already, you don't have to do anything about it. There's nothing you have to do. You don't even have to necessarily, like, believe in it. And the thing I really wanted to highlight is, it's like anything else. It's not this magic fix. I think people so often, especially when they're struggling, They just want it all to be taken away. They just want to know that, oh, I'm going to do that EFT, or I'm going to, rub those crystals or whatever. And it's all going to be taken away from me. And what I love about all of this is, through the process of having to deal with whatever your struggle is, you get to learn that it comes back down to you, right? It's not that you're going to wear a bunch of crystals and everything's going to get better, because you have to show up for something as well. But the crystals, or whatever method you're choosing, is going to aid you. It's going to give you that support. It's going to shift your belief, perhaps. And what I love about my journey, and what I love about helping others now, is re-empowering them and going, you don't have to lock yourself in a tower and wait for a white knight to show up on a horse, because you're the white knight. Like, the transformation is going to come from you. The shift is going to come from you. There is no quick fix. And I think that's sometimes where people are coming from when they question if something's going to work, because of course, you can't just hold an amethyst for half an hour and then never have anxiety again. It's just not going to work like that. And I probably used the wrong crystal, but you get what I mean. But it's just about recognizing it. The important thing, I think, is recognizing that it's always collaboration. We're always in collaboration with whatever we're choosing, whether it's crystals or whether it's something else. It's a co-collaboration. It's a bringing together of energies, and you are part of the solution, and you have the power to overcome whatever it is you're being presented with. And I think this jewelry is just such a beautiful way of doing that. It's just beautiful. I've actually been on your site this morning before we chatted. And I said to you already, I've spent lots of money in my head. Just for anyone that's curious, for anyone that wants to check this out, the name of Daniella's business is called Leela in the Sky. And you can find it at leelainthesky.com. We're going to put a link in the show notes as well. And you're also on Instagram at Leela in the Sky. And Leela is spelt Lila. Is that right? Lila. Yeah. So Leela in the Sky. On Instagram, it's Leela in the Sky Jewelry. And Daniella's been really, really kind, and she's created a special code that's just for us. And it's a discount code. So we will put that in the show notes as well. I'm just searching through to tell people what it is, because I can't remember off the top of my head. I know it's got my name in it. I was excited.
It's Lily 20%.
Love it. Lily 20%. Yeah. I just love that it had my name on it. I felt very special.
It's all capital letters.
Yes. So Lily 20%, Lilli 20%, capital letters. But we'll put that code in the show notes as well for anybody that wants to check that out. What else was I going to ask you? There's so many questions I have. I wanted to actually pick up on something you said about the fact that people are drawn to the right crystals for them. Because again, I think, there always has to be an element of trust or an element of faith when it comes to this. And I've got two great stories actually, and they're both kind of linked. So for those people that listen to the show a lot, you'll know that I lost one of my best friends earlier this year, my friend Nunu. And recently we were invited to go to her house where her husband was, and he had all her jewelry laid out, and he said we could choose a piece to keep, right? And she also had a box of crystals, because she was diagnosed with cancer and she battled it for 6 years, and she got very much into holistic healing, and crystals became a huge part of it. And a lot of her jewelry was crystal jewelry. It had the crystals in there, and all to promote the healing and all of that. And two beautiful things happened. First of all, on my way to the house, knowing what we were going for, I said a little prayer to her, because I talk to her all the time. She's with me all the time. And I was like, I really want you to guide me to the piece that you want me to have. I want to know without a shadow of a doubt that that's the piece you meant for me. And of course, I'm a huge faith-led person and whatever, but still, whenever I ask for a sign, and I don't know if you do this, but whenever I ask for a sign, I then immediately look for it. It's like, where's my sign? And so I got to the house and it was all laid out on the table, and I instantly was like, right, I want to feel it. I want to know what it is. And the more I looked at the table, the more I started to get frustrated, because I couldn't feel anything. It was like this is all beautiful jewelry, it's all really nice, and there was some like feathers stuff, which is, you know, that's a huge thing for me, and feathers is one of her signs. And I was like, yeah, but that's maybe a bit obvious. I couldn't truly feel it. And so anyway, in the end, I was like, it is what it is, whatever. And so I just kept looking, and then I suddenly saw this little piece of gold poking out. It was like this rose gold, and I'm showing Daniela, you guys can't see, but I'm wearing it on my wrist, and it was this beautiful, really thin, delicate bracelet. And I picked it up because I was drawn to the color, and I just started looking at it. And then my friend that was next to me said, oh my God, Lil, look. And she turned it around, and written in the bracelet is the inscription, expect miracles. And I immediately, I got emotional, and I just knew this is the piece of jewelry that I was meant to have. And I'd been drawn to it. The thing was, I was drawn to it because I like the color. And I think this is the thing, this is the point I wanted to make. Like, it's not, you're not always going to like, you're not going to walk into a crystal shop and have a beam of sunlight like going down on the crystal that you're meant to have. Like, there's no, like, the angels don't blow trumpets and kind of float feathers down to let you know that you've got the right one. It will be something very normal that draws you to it. You might just like that it's a bit shiny or a bit sparkly, or it might just be the color or whatever. But, you know, it was a really lovely validation, and I just instantly tears. It was like, oh my God, like, it actually worked. She actually did what I asked her to do. And then her husband said, oh, you know, there's some crystals over here, Lil, that you might like. And there was a whole box. She had them all boxed up in each. It was a proper crystal box, so there was compartments, and she'd written little notes for each one about what the healing properties were and what it meant and whatnot. And I was immediately drawn to this. It was like a coppery color, and it was super, super sparkly. I can't remember the name of it, but it was really shimmery. And I'm a bit like, I'm just drawn to anything that's like sparkly and shiny. Mm-hmm. So I picked it up, and I was like, oh my God, I love this. And her husband was like, we'll take that as well. And she had all these books that told me, you know, what the crystals were for. And so my friends started looking it up. I can't remember the name of the crystal. I might have to go and get it. But anyway, she looked it up, and she was like, oh my God, this couldn't be more perfect for you. And, you know, again, I was like, well, I've been drawn to it because it's shiny and it shimmers. I love how sparkly it is. But when she read out the meaning for it, it was all about being purpose driven, like finding purpose, being on purpose. And I was like, oh, it couldn't be more perfect. And so 2 stories, it was all happening in the same night, but 2 stories about how I was absolutely led to both of those pieces. And, you know, it doesn't feel like what you think it might feel like. Like I say, there's no beam of light, you know, there's no kind of like clap of thunder when you pick up the right one, but you just might be drawn on a very normal human level because the color's pretty, or, you know, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's then when you look at what the crystal does that you're like, oh my God, this is what I need right now, you know? Oh, hey, sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to remind you about my amazing new free challenge called Singing for Spiritual Growth. You'll know if you've been listening for any amount of time at all that singing has always been my passion, alongside building confidence and guiding others on their spiritual path. And now I've brought it all together in this free program. If you know it's time to truly shift out of the anxiety and overwhelm you've been experiencing and truly find your voice, then this is a great place to start. I've put a link in the show notes with the full details, and of course, that is now our main Facebook community for this podcast as well. So go ahead, click the link and get involved. Okay, that's all for now. I'll let you get back to the interview. Mwah. So obviously, making jewelry was something you always did as a child, and crystals were something you were always drawn to as a child. When did you realize that this was a spiritual purpose thing? Like, when did you have that? Have you even had that epiphany? Have you had that moment where you've gone, oh my God, this was always what I did, and I might have strayed from that path, and now I've come back? Because this is the case for everybody, you know. You're already on purpose. You're probably already doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing, but it's so normal to us that we just think, it's nothing. When did you have that realization, or if you've had it at all?
It wasn't immediately. It was my mom, she used to call me her little crow because she used to say I always had a crystal in my hand as a child. So she called me the little crow because, yeah,
Oh.
they're always in my pockets. And I just right after my daughter, who's actually, her name is Leela, was born, I just started doing art nonstop, and it was because I kind of felt like I wanted to have that time for myself. I at this point in my life, I was teaching a little bit of English classes here in Toulouse, but it wasn't really what brought me joy. And I just started making art. I just started painting again and started doing art, and then I just started making jewelry and connecting again with crystals. And then I went to see the shaman that I see regularly. And in this ceremony, it was all about kind of connecting with my joy, connecting with the things that made me happy and feel expanded and full of love. And I noticed that every time I make jewelry, I feel expanded, full of love. And I'm so obsessed with it. It's just something I look forward to playing with my beads and like finding beautiful patterns that come out of them and combining the beads in different ways and the crystals. So the first jewelry I started making were malas, which they are made for meditation. And it's because I discovered meditation when I was having anxiety, and I just thought they had a nice look to them also. They were beautiful, and they're actually really good for meditating, because every time you wander off in a thought, you hold the next beat, and then it brings you back. So I did that a lot with some of my clients. I showed them how to use the mala in a practical way that they can use it for their meditation practice. Even a little bracelet, even a little beaded bracelet you can use for just like a quick 5-minute meditation wherever you are. Yeah, and it was really, I think, during the journey that I started to fall more in love with crystals, and when I studied it, and it just started to come together that this was what I just know it's what I meant to do, because it's more than just it's something I need to do. I feel the need to make jewelry all the time, and it just brings me so much joy, it brings me so much happiness. And I love when somebody asks me to sometimes make them a custom piece or to help them find the jewelry for them. I'll tell you a beautiful story. I had this lady from America. She connected with me on Instagram, and she was trying to conceive. So she asked me to make her a beautiful choker. She didn't want a mala, she wanted a choker to be able to help her conceive. So I put in kunzite, which is considered the mother stone, so that she could already embody the feeling of being a mother, so that it was already who she was. And then I put moonstone as well, which represents the womb and its femininity. It's all of the archetypes of being a woman. And amethyst, which is for relaxation. And before I gave it to her, I said to her to imagine that she was giving it to, a daughter one day.
Oh, amazing.
So she's actually pregnant with a little girl.
Oh, I love it.
I'm not saying it's because of this, but it just made me so happy to know that this choker means so much to this lady. I don't even know her. She's in America, and we just became virtual Instagram friends.
Yeah. This is the beauty of the world we're in right now. And I know that, social media and the internet gets a lot of stick, and there is a lot of negativity on there as well. But there are also these amazing relationships being formed and these amazing connections. And do you know what? I believe so much in that. I just believe like everything's energy at the end of the day. We can block ourselves from the thing that we want energetically because we don't believe that we're worthy of it. We don't think it's possible, or for all of these reasons. And so just even that practice of embodying being that person, that's such a powerful thing to do. And whether you do that through wearing a piece of jewelry or from journaling every day, or like it's whatever's going to work for you to get into that energy space. And of course, it's hard to know, it's hard to say, oh yeah, just wear this bracelet and you might get pregnant. But I really there are so many stories like that you can't ignore it. I have a friend who's a hypnotherapist who has the same stories, because she has women that come to her that can't conceive, and they do this work on the subconscious level, and it ends up being that they're subconsciously worried that, you know, maybe that their business won't survive if they have a baby, or they subconsciously worry about what it means for their relationship or something. There's something blocking them energetically, and if it can be shifted, it has powerful repercussions. And I truly believe if you feel led to do something, then it's meant for you. And I think, you know, that's not to say that everybody gets what they feel led to do, but I do think that energetically we block a lot of these things. And I just love that story. The fact it's a girl as well is just perfect. So yes. Beautiful. What a gift. So I know that you said from January you're going to be doing these consultations, but for now, if somebody was going to be on your website, what would your advice be? Is it really just to browse the site and then just see what pieces they're drawn to?
Yes. See the pieces that are drawn, that you feel drawn to, the colors. Sometimes it's also because I put little symbols in gold, and sometimes it's a symbol as well. So usually, like, it happens a lot, like people will browse on my website, and then after they'll come back to me and say, oh, I really just felt the need for this one, and then when I read the description, it was really the one for me.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah. So definitely check out that link. Like I said, we're going to put it in the show notes as well, or you can just type it in. It's Leela in the Sky. Leela is Lila, leelainthesky.com. It's a beautiful site. Like I say, I've been on there already this morning, and there are the mala beads that Daniela mentioned. They come in bracelet form as well. There are necklaces, chain necklaces, rings, all sorts. So knock yourselves out, and don't forget to use the discount code that Daniela has really kindly given us as well. And again, we'll put that in the show notes, but Lily 20%. Don't forget my name. Say my name. Awesome. And of course, if you want a consultation, then I would connect with Daniela on Instagram now, and then when she starts rolling out those consultations, you can obviously sign up for one. I've decided that this episode is going to come out quickly, because I thought it would be a beautiful thing for you guys to have the option of getting this jewelry in time for Christmas. So, you know, whether you want to ask your friends and family for something for yourself, or whether you know somebody who's maybe been struggling. So many people are struggling this year with anxiety, with stress, you know, even with grief, because people are grieving the year that never happened. They're grieving the plans they had and that couldn't go ahead, and all of those things. And I think more than ever, it's even more important now to think of gifts that really truly mean something. It's not just about this commercial, let's just spend a load of money and give presents. Like, I really think it's a perfect time to tune in and think, what would really make an enormous difference to this person? I actually gifted my stepdaughter some crystals for her birthday, and I did exactly that. Because I knew that, you know, I knew there was some things that she could really use, and I went to the crystal shop, and she really appreciated it. She just really appreciated the thought that had gone into it. And often these are things like anxiety and whatever, these are things that people think can't get better. So many people, especially when they're in the throes of it, it feels frightening and it feels like you're never going to get through it. So to be given something that's like, this might help, it just gives that glimmer of hope. And apart from anything else, I think it truly says to somebody, I know what you're going through, and I see you and I hear you, and this is how I want to be there for you. So, you know, if you're feeling stuck for what gifts to give your loved ones, then check out Leela in the Sky. Think about some jewelry, you know, and really think about what piece would really shift them. You know, I mean, I would love that. I'm just saying, anyone listening that wants to buy me a gift, I would love some jewelry from Leela in the Sky. Just putting it out there. Somebody tell Kevin. There's no way he listens to all these podcast episodes, so somebody message him and tell him, get on it. Oh, fabulous. Daniela, it's been so lovely to meet you and to have you on this podcast. And I've got to say, yeah, absolutely. And I have to say to everyone listening, because this is audio only, but Daniela is adorned in some beautiful necklaces that she's made herself. So I can absolutely vouch for how beautiful the jewelry looks apart from everything else. So, you know, go to leelainthesky.com, go and check out those things, and let us know if you buy something. if you come into the Facebook group, Wake Up, Rise Up, I'll get Daniela signed up in there as well. That way, if you've got questions for her, or if you just want to tag her, like when your jewelry arrives, I bet it's thrilling, Daniela, to get a post on Instagram when somebody's received a piece of your jewelry. Am I right?
It makes my day.
Yeah,
absolutely. Me so happy.
Of course, because, you know, and I really hope you guys have got the underlying message from this episode as well, that the more you allow yourself to drop into joy and the more that you allow yourself to be led that way, not only do you get to revel in your own joy, but now, like, how many people are benefiting from this as well? I bet every single person that receives a piece of your jewelry feels that joy as well. You know, it's a ripple effect that goes out around the world. So just, you know, for everybody listening, ask yourself the question today, where can I get more joy? Like, where can I align to more of the things that are going to make me happy? It doesn't cost anything. You can literally go and find your joy right now. Ask yourself, what's that thing? And then go and do it. Make the time in your life, because not only will you benefit, it's going to benefit everybody else in the world as well. So fabulous stuff. Daniela, thank you so much for being here. And to everybody listening, thank you for being here. As always, I'll be back very soon with another episode. And remember, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. I will speak to you soon. Lots of love. There we have it for another week. Daniela was a pure joy to meet and chat with, and I was so taken with her knowledge and passion for her work. In fact, it's always so beautiful to meet someone so firmly in their purpose. It almost immediately elevates your own energy too. So I hope you guys felt that. Thank you, Daniela, for giving us your time and for your generous discount offer. Don't forget to check out the links to Daniela's work in the show notes, and do let us know if you end up treating yourself or someone you love. In fact, why not take photos and send them in to us at lilybadcock@gmail.com, as I know Daniela would absolutely love to see you wearing the pieces. So that's it for another week. I hope you'll be joining me in the new Facebook community, Singing for Spiritual Growth, and the link for that is in the show notes, as I said. I will look forward to receiving your emails and messages about this episode as ever. But in the meantime, have a wonderful week wherever you are in the world, and remember, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. And I'll see you next time. Big love.